You're probably wondering, how much money do you need for early retirement? When you consider all of the factors, landing on a specific number seems really difficult. You probably wish someone could tell you where to look for that magic number. That's exactly what this in-depth explanation of the 4% rule is for. Hi, welcome to FIRE. Before we continue, please take a brief moment, smash that like button, and if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe and stay connected with us. It's difficult to explain how the world works because it's so complicated. Inflation exists, markets fluctuate, housing is a mess, and no one knows what the economy will do. Therefore, you may be left feeling confused and lost. If you're thinking of retiring early, you should know how things will pan out for the next 70 years, right? Doesn't it seem impossible? Although it is hard to predict what will happen in the future, there is a way. You look to the past when you can't predict the future, and that's where Bill Bengen comes in. He's the father of retirement plans. He came up with the 4% rule, which is the most realistic solution to the question, when can I retire? I'll give a thorough explanation as well as discuss its benefits and criticisms. So, what actually is the 4% rule? The 4% rule refers to the amount of money you withdraw each year after retirement. The rule says that in the first year after you stop working, you should use no more than 4% of your stock and bond portfolio value. If, for example, you have $1 million saved when you retire, you can withdraw roughly 4%. In that first year of retirement, you could spend up to $40,000 of your savings. If nothing changes for your income, the percentage you remove would remain constant, but the amount you withdraw would fluctuate with inflation each year. As a result, you should expect your portfolio to last at least 30 years. When should you use the 4% rule? The 4% rule assumes that your investment portfolio is made up of roughly 60% stocks and 40% bonds. It also expects that you'll maintain spending at the same level in retirement. The 4% rule may be perfect for you if both of these criteria are true and you want to follow the simplest possible retirement withdrawal strategy. However, you should be aware that the 4% rule is based off of an older version of the economy. As a result, adhering to it no longer ensures that you will not run out of money. It may work based on the performance of your investments, but it isn't a sure thing because it was created when bond interest rates were much greater than they are today. Why should you tread lightly with the 4% rule? If you want to be absolutely certain that you will never run out of money, the 4% rule is probably not the greatest option. That's not to minimize Bengen's successes. I'm sure it was a huge and time-consuming task. However, it is a bit outdated. Furthermore, the 4% rule does not take into account shifting market conditions. Increasing your withdrawal amounts during a recession, for example, would be unwise financially. In fact, you might have to lower your withdrawal and income. When the market is performing well, on the other hand, you may be able to withdraw more than 4%. Is there another flaw in the 4% rule? It's calculated over a 30-year period. That's a good beginning point. If you can't retire until you're 70, you should expand your horizons because you might not live to be 100. Additionally, the 4% rule does not account for Number 1. Mix of investments. Getting the results that the 4% rule promises depends on how you have invested your savings. The 4% rule assumes that you have about 50% of your portfolio in stocks, such as a diverse mix of stock index funds. This mix would mean that your return matches the overall market. If your portfolio is set up differently, your rate of return could be very different. You might be able to withdraw more or less. Before jumping to our next spot, make sure to leave a like and don't forget to join our channel by hitting that subscribe button. If we missed something important thus far, let us know in the comments below. Number 2. Healthcare wildcards. A personal healthcare crisis can greatly increase spending needs. In addition, many may not have additional insurance coverage beyond Medicare. These are very important considerations. That healthcare wildcard is even more of a factor in the US for those early retirees who do not yet have Medicare and may not have sufficient private insurance. Health insurance and life insurance policies are a staple of personal financial planning for retirees. We also need to cover ourselves with a generous emergency fund that is liquid and usually in a high-interest savings account. Many will use a personal line of credit as a significant portion of that emergency fund. Number 3. Inflation rate in retirement does not mirror the CPI inflation rate. In retirement, your personal inflation rate will likely not mirror that of the accepted inflation measurement benchmarks. Government agencies dictate how much we must remove from our registered retirement portfolios with mandated withdrawals. Sure, we don't have to spend that money, but those required minimums will certainly affect our tax rates and overall spend rates. Therefore, taxes and fees need to be considered when estimating spend rates. Number 4. Our spending patterns are dynamic in retirement. The 4% rule isn't the best approach if you expect your spending patterns to change during retirement. In the early stages of retirement, most retirees are more active. They usually spend more time on hobbies or travel, which results in spending more money. Then, in the middle of retirement, spending falls before rising again due to healthcare costs later in life. The 4% rule isn't flexible enough to accommodate these lifestyle changes. Instead, it restricts you to a specific amount, which may be insufficient in your early years, but might be enough later. Williams and Kawashima said, "The 4% rule suggests you increase your spending every year by the rate of inflation, not by how well your portfolio fared. Furthermore, it is assumed that you will not spend more or less than inflation increases in any given year." Our spending needs and wants are dynamic. We should be prepared to adjust and change our spending rates. I think we should also be open to what might be a non-traditional order of harvesting our retirement assets. The math might say spend down your personal portfolio first. Every retiree has a unique and optimal spending pattern or sequence for harvesting their assets. Most of us will be best served to contact a trusted professional to discover how to optimize retirement funding. Estate planning and the desire to leave a financial legacy adds additional complexities. This level of financial planning is outside the scope of a self-directed investor. You can use a fee-for-service advisor and then self-direct your portfolio assets to keep fees low. However, most of us certainly do not want to hand over a portion of our assets and fees on a daily basis. Number 5. Asset allocation. Finally, if you've chosen an asset allocation other than 60% of stocks and 40% bonds, you should also avoid following the 4% rule because this is the asset mix the rule was based on. When you invest differently, your portfolio will perform differently. For example, investing more in bonds could result in slower investment growth because bonds typically don't see the returns that stocks do. This problem is exacerbated by the fact that when the 4% rule was developed, bond interest rates were much higher than they are today. The rule applies to a hypothetical portfolio that's invested 50% stocks and 50% bonds. During retirement, you may modify your financial portfolio over time. We normally recommend diversifying your portfolio across a wide range of asset classes and types of stocks and bonds, and reducing your exposure to stocks as you retire, Williams and Kawashima wrote. So guys, summarizing today's video. The 4% retirement guideline was developed to make the question of how much is enough easier to answer. It will undoubtedly assist people with thinking about their banking habits as they age. That simplicity, however, has come at the expense of precision. It's a big life decision to walk away from a steady job, so be sure you understand everything about this model before taking the leap. The key to limiting the surprises that this model understates is recognizing the importance of allocating funds to stocks, lowering management costs, accounting for the tax hit at withdrawal, and boosting your allocation to inflation-prone assets. It's becoming increasingly difficult to return to work and recover your pre-retirement salary level once you've left employment. So let's be sure we're making the best decisions possible for the most secure financial future. So, do you have any questions regarding the 4% rule? Please let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and felt it was valuable in teaching you, please share it with your friends or anyone else who might benefit from this information. Before we wrap up, make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel Fire. See you next time. Bye!